Hello, I'm Sharon Dowsett. Welcome to my flute lessons. Today I'm going to be teaching you 4 new notes: C, B flat, F and E. But before that, I think it's a really important time to talk about hand position and how to get that completely correct. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you a few things to try and avoid doing first, and then we'll talk about the correct way of doing these things. So the first thing I want to say is make sure that when you're lifting your fingers up, you don't lift them up too high. The second thing, try and avoid your fingers coming over the ends of the keys like this. The third thing, try and avoid resting anything on the mechanism. So I don't know if you can see that I'm resting here on the mechanism there. What that does is, instead of getting a nice curved hand position, it makes my fingers very straight and flat. Then I'm more likely to be lifting them up straight, and I haven't got a nice curved shape in my fingers. The other thing to try and avoid doing, the final thing, is slapping the keys down too hard with too much pressure, and then therefore giving yourself a lot of tension in your hand and wrist there. So this is what this will look like. It means that your fingers will always be very clunky and clumsy. You'll never be able to get a nice fluid speed and even playing if your fingers aren't close enough to the keys. So let's go through those things again and do them the correct way this time. The first thing, so instead of having your fingers straight, I want to keep them curved over. There, I'm going to show you from this angle as well. And also keep my wrist lovely and straight here. If you can see this, from the knuckles down to the elbow, try and keep that straight to help my fingers curve over, rather than bending my wrist underneath or lifting it up too high. So keep that lovely and straight. Along with your curved finger position, when you place your fingers down on the keys, to avoid the next problem, which was hanging over the end of the keys, take the fleshy, squidgy part of your fingertip, not right on the tip, but slightly further back where you can feel it's nice and squidgy. That bit you're going to put right in the centre of each key. So you'll be able to feel, even if you haven't got open holes like I have, you'll be able to tell and by touch whether your finger is right in the middle of each key or not. So lots of slow practice, just feeling your way around the keys to make sure that they're right in the centre of each one when you push them down. When you're doing that, hopefully then you should be avoiding, you won't be able to rest your hand on the mechanism, it is impossible. So the other thing was, if you find that your fingers are straight and not curved like this, you might need to rotate your wrist slightly outwards, turn it away from you to the right, and that way then I can keep my pinky finger, which is down most of the time, so it's quite important to get that one curved, then I can curve that one as well. Right, so that's hand position. I should know I've done all these things wrong in the past, and it's much harder to correct mistakes once you've got a bad habit than it is to start trying to do something the right way from the beginning. So it's always a good idea to get that set up from the beginning. Okay, so let's go on with our first new note, the C. So taking from the B that you remember last time, which was thumb, keeping this finger nice and tight in against the flute, then the B finger on here, that was your B. Then the A was the next finger down, but skipping one out, and then the G, that's 3 fingers, B, A, G. So to play my C, I need to go back to my B finger, and then I'm going to lift up my left hand thumb, like this, up and down. A few things with your thumb. This is the one finger I would actually try and keep straight rather than curved. So that's my finger trying to curve, because it's not the same as the other fingers, it doesn't have as many joints. So straight up and down, keep it close, hovering close to the keys like you would the others. It's very tempting when you're starting out and you're playing a C for the first few times and you're thinking, oh, it might slip, I'm a bit scared it's going to fall. You might think, oh, okay, I'll just rest it here then, or underneath here, or over here or something, just to give myself a bit of extra stability. Try not to do that. Try and just lift it straight up like the other fingers. If you're finding it does feel very like it's going to slip and fall, you're probably not curving this round enough when you rest your flute in here and keeping that cushion there to make sure it doesn't just slip down like that. So I'm going to play you a B and then a C so you can hear the difference. So here's my B. And there's my C. Okay, so the next note I was going to teach you was a B flat. So a flat note is half a step lower than a B. So B, then B flat will be half a step, then A will be the next half step. In music, we call a whole step, like from B to A, a tone. And a half step from B to B flat, where it sounds slightly lower, but not all the way lower, a semitone. That's what that will sound like. So for a B flat, put your B fingers on, so thumb on, top finger on. And for my B flat, I just need to add my right hand for this finger down onto the third key up, 1, 2, 3. If your fingers are hovering where they should be already, then that will just be ready to come straight down above your thumb there in a line to play your B flat. With this note, after you've played your B flat, remember to lift this finger back up again, like that. If you leave it on, when you get to your G, you won't be playing a G anymore and you'll be a bit confused. So that's your B flat. Then onto the F. So for my F, I'm putting my G fingers on, that's thumb, B, A, G, and adding the F finger, keeping it in the centre of the key and keeping it nice and curved and using the lightest touch possible. And then for my E, I'm just going to add the following finger on. Okay, so there's a few things you might find helpful when you're practicing your finger movements. You might find it's quite a good idea to do some silent practice so you can watch for yourself exactly how your fingers are moving and check that they're staying close to the keys, that your fingers are curved, and that it's the middle part of your finger in the middle part of the key as well. And then you can see for yourself that you're keeping the movements nice and controlled. You might also want to try that in front of the mirror, so that while you're playing, you can check that your finger movement is still under control, nice and clear, nice and relaxed. Then you might want to practice joining those notes up together. That was going downwards, which in music we call descending, and then going upwards, which in music we call ascending. Okay, happy practicing with those. In the next couple of lessons, we'll be dealing with music theory. So I'll be teaching you the first few steps you need to know to be able to read notated music and then be able to play your first few tunes. Great, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.